This is The Deep Dive, your ultimate guide to understanding public affairs and current events like never before. Every episode, we plunge into the depth of the most pressing issues affecting our country, from politics to the economy, from social movements to global events. No topic is off limits. Join us as we dissect the complexities of each topic, backed by comprehensive research, thoughtful analysis, and critical insights. You'll hear diverse viewpoints, expert opinions, and most importantly, the facts. Tune in to The Deep Dive every Wednesday on Epic Radio 99.3 FM, 8 to 9 p.m. because and welcome to another special edition of The Deep Dive, where they come to you live here on Epic Radio 99.3 FM. Today, now Wednesday, the 23rd day of April 2025. And me, your name now James Fortune. Right here on The Deep Dive tonight, we'll be exploring inflation versus reality. Are prices actually going down? Now, if inflation a persistent economic challenge we Sierra Leone don't dey facing, and now something we significantly don't they affect the cost of living, business operations, and just the overall economic stability. Tonight on The Deep Dive, would explore the causes of inflation, the impacts of inflation, and policy responses to inflation where government of Sierra Leone don't they put in place, while at the same time highlighting some of the structural weakness and potential solutions them to inflation. In recent times, recent trends, kudos to government, and that's something that they've been pushing out there, which in itself is a good thing. Now the fact say inflation don't decant down. We've observed some steady numbers for some time now, and however, whilst those numbers have been steady for some time now, it still begs the question whether they don't actually they affect prices in the market. Are prices actually going down? Tonight on the show, Yusuf, we watch we on Facebook and listen we get an opportunity for add your voice to the conversation by way of calling us on 079-994-993. But as we dive deep tonight on the topic inflation, not forget say there are two sides to every story, and understanding now a three-edged sword. Your side, me side, and the truth we always stay right in the middle. This is The Deep Dive. We will be right back.
What you say? Now we elect them all for me. We not go regret. The one will elect for leading for me. We not go regret. We all have to walk as one for me. We country no wreck. You kill a barina we learn. We get for try for correct. The rule of law and the youths, the big one off on the right. Therefore protect. That's what we say. That ship don't come. That ship don't come. Let me know I'm going for making off load my yard. That ship don't come. That ship don't come. Let me know I'm going for making off. The one will elect for leading from me. We not go regret. We all go for walk as
Okay, welcome back. If you just they join with the program we they listen to now the deep dive where they come to you live here on Epic Radio 99.3 FM. Don't forget to you can also follow we live on Facebook via we Facebook page at Epic Radio. Tonight we're talking about inflation versus the reality. Are prices actually going down? Now let's just look at some data and some statistics. Now inflation data generally they often present the macroeconomic snapshots, the general overview, but however oftentimes you realize that the lived reality of the ordinary Sierra Leoneans out there often don't they tell a different story. While yes, inflation go down by 25%, by 10%, it is a good thing, and not me saying it's a bad thing. The actual thing there, now the fact say the lived experiences of everyday Sierra Leonean, the story not can be so different in the good sense. It just means that well, it's either it's just the same for them or things are slightly moving, but we'll get into that in a bit. Now while the official statistics they suggest moderate inflation, the actual experience of consumers and businesses vary actually, and this is not due to several reasons. One, due to structural inefficiencies, and you get of course the market's distortions. I mean different things that is going on there, and then of course you get the regional disparity. Well, let's look at official inflation trends. According to the Bank of Sierra Leone and Statistics Sierra Leone, headline inflation peaked at over 40% in 2023. This not due to global shocks such as the Ukraine war, supply chain disruptions, and the list goes on. However, as of mid-2024, inflation don't decline to around 25%. This in turn don't reflect some stabilization in terms of food and fuel prices. The Leone as well don't slightly stabilize. Let's underline the word slightly there. This now after a steep depreciation between 2022 and that of 2023. This of course you can attribute now this is where we now clap for the Bank of Sierra Leone due to a tighter monitoring policy, which is fine. However, let's actually answer the question, why inflation appeared for the fall. Why does it seem like okay, inflation don't they go down? The reason for this one are because of global commodity prices such as fuel, wheat, rice. They don't ease between 2000 as to how them be day between 2023 coming downwards to 2024. It don't actually ease. And of course, we don't see a tightening of monetary policy. Now you get higher interest rates, and of course, where they reduce excess liquidity. I'll try to be breaking down most of the things, anyways. And of course, you get improved forex inflows from remittances, and donor support don't also help for stabilize the exchange rate. Now, all of them factors there, so now then come together for make sure say let the inflation don't they go down and let it at a rate where we don't experience some normalcy between 2024, latter part of 2023 coming downwards to 2024. We realize that the price for the dollar, the exchange rate was stable a bit. Fuel price don't they stable for quite some time now. Now these are all realities, and these are all lived experiences of Sierra Leoneans. So in answering the question whether inflation don't actually they affect prices going down, would not answer that question in a haste, but rather we go allow the facts them for really answer that particular question there. We bring me to the next thing that I want us to talk about. We get for do with the reality and really attempting to answer the question, are prices really going down? Now, me on this side go attempt to answer this question using statistics and facts. And of course, you ordinary Sierra Leonean, we all ordinary Sierra Leonean them out there get we lived experiences. That is why you get for phone in later for tell me about your own experiences, whether you agree with these statistics that I'm putting out there tonight, or you think they're just numbers on paper and not get anything for do with your own reality in particular. Now, despite the decline in inflation rates, many Sierra Leoneans them don't often they complain saying and not they feel relief at all in their daily expenses. And this is not the reason why. So now you get inflation for equals to price deflation. Wetin this mean? Where inflation come down, it means the prices of daily commodities need for go down. It need for reflect that way. However, wetin are the actual thing? When inflation they go down na salon, wetin this mean? Does it really mean that prices are falling down? Does it mean that prices of everyday commodities are going down? No. Wetin this mean? It just means say no more. Prices are rising at a slower pace. And yeah, for some other commodities them, for rice and other things, before people start coming for me, yes, then don't they go down just a bit. But assuming that the minimum wage is set at 700,000 leones, and then the price of rice, let's say it was at 1,000 leones, and it moved from 1,000 leones and it now begins sell them at 800 leones or 850 leones. Meanwhile, the minimum wage still remains 700,000 leones. Nothing much don't change actually for the ordinary Sierra Leonean. I mean, while inflation don't go down, yes, the price don't shift a bit, but it is not really come yet to that level where they're able to realize them perfectly, say yes, indeed, something of a difference is happening in his life. Say, for example, inflation reduced from 40% to 25%, it reduced by 25% between 2023 and 2024. This not necessarily means goods are cheaper now. It just means prices of commodities, everyday commodities, where everyday Sierra Leoneans they need, are increasing less rapidly. Then they go up small instead of then they go up really fast. You look at everyday foods, for example. Everyday food prices in Sierra Leone, they still remain high. Now, this can be attributed due to several factors. One, of course, you get climate shocks, low investment, and the fact that agriculture in Salonia, it's more of a paper thing than really something that is really in actuality happening. And you look at fuel price. Fuel prices, interestingly, don't they fluctuate, but in recent times don't remain elevated to, don't remain at a level where I don't want for really use the term stable, because it's really not stable, but it's just been there, just like that. Now, is that at an all-time low? No, it is still at an all-time high. So while yes, inflation don't go down and there's been some tiny shift in terms of fuel price, the reality of the ordinary Sierra Leonean, it is still unaffordable for them. It's still too expensive. So can we really say prices are actually going down in a way that it is really affecting the ordinary Sierra Leonean out there? Let's look at Freetown versus rural areas. Prices may stabilize in cities. At Freetown, for example, due to the fact, say, okay, we get better supply chain. But when you look at the rural areas, then still they facing the fact that shortage of goods them and services where they need. And even when inflation they come down, and let's say prices in the big cities are stable a bit, those ones in the provinces still remain high, because people will tell you that, well, I need for transport the rest from Freetown and take them all the way in the provinces. While yes, inflation don't go down and now we buy them less, but then the cost of transportation still there and it is still high and it's still expensive. So by the time I take them to the provinces, they make much difference whether I say I don't buy them cheap na Freetown, or I not buy them cheap, or I buy them at a lesser rate. Or even the thing that I just talked about, we get for do with wage stagnation and the rising cost. These are the things that you put on the table and you're not able to discuss inflation going down. The reason why I'm bringing out all of these points tonight, now the fact that the statistics have been good on paper, and we commend the government for doing a good job with the monetary policy and all. But it is important that while we are, yes, happy that inflation, they calm down, they reduce now, that we continue to highlight all of these important points, that these are lived experiences of Sierra Leoneans too, and these are important things to look at. Wage stagnation and the rise in cost. Salaries, I mean, don't say, okay, then don't they go up or don't they come up, and where inflation go up, that no means say salaries they go up. Where can down, salaries remains the same. And even though the prices of everyday commodities in the market, whether they don't change or not, I think that's for everyday Sierra Leoneans for answer. Civil servants, them, for example, you get low wage workers, them, among civil servants, them, where they struggle for afford basic things such as rice, or such as fuel, or such as even housing. These are all important things that we need to note. That while we talk about inflation going down, we need to look at all of these as well. Because until and unless we look at all of them points, then they holistically, we're not able to get the desired results. It is important that we have these conversations. I know that some of you might just say, oh, but we need to be thankful for the fact say inflation don't go down. And yes, we're thankful for that. But with inflation going down and all of these other factors, all of these things not being dealt with, then while on paper the government may seem to be doing well, in reality that might not be the case. And there comes in say people not satisfied, and then the song where you they sing and the song where the everyday man they sing would be so different. And it's not different because say it just wants for be ungrateful, or the fact say no one foresee the good that government is doing. It's just the fact that that's not their reality. Whatever thing where they happen at the upper level no reflects yet na in your life. And until and unless they reflect na in your life, then they can be able to make a contribution to whatever thing that is happening on a bigger stage. This is the deep dive. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
From bad to worse, not because of no price control. Price control. We want now we countries alone. Things just go from bad to worse, not because of no price control.
Now wait till you they say they want price control. Now wait till the woman say they want price control. So when we see on there, yes, the woman they say make we tell you now say they want price control. To the east or the west want a price control. To the north down south they beg for price control. So the businessman them go take control. The sweet salon go always take for own. Without it this price to my that's price. Now all that they make we continue the up price. This and that say we know they take that. If that is not this, if not that, not that.
Price control. We want now we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control. Price control. We want now we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control. Papa man so want controller. DJ Box want controller. Cyril want controller. Jumaka want controller. The picking them say, the youth man say, the people them say I want price control. Businessman and woman, Salomon and woman, they say that they beg for price control. If the driver, if the student, soldier man and woman, policeman and woman, they beg. Med funds DJ Yusuf, even man shake, they say that they beg for price control. Price control. We want now we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control. Price control. We want now we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control.
Okay, welcome back. If you just they join with the program where you listen to now the deep dive where they come to you live here on Epic Radio 99.3 FM. You can also follow we live via our Facebook page at Epic Radio. And tonight on the deep dive, we're talking about inflation versus reality. Our prices actually going down. Now, just before the break, we just look at some of the data and statistics them way they out there and do some comparison between the reality of everyday Sierra Leonean prices in the market and salaries where people they earn, comparing that to inflation and all of which, if there is really a match. Now, after analyzing that, we come to the conclusion say there is some bit of disconnect between data and reality. Let's try to answer why really you get this disconnect between data written in a paper and the reality where everyday Sierra Leonean they experience where you go out there. Now you look at the official inflation measures may not fully often capture the most volatile prices, such as black market prices and forex rates and things like that. So when we started, I mentioned, say, when you look at inflation generally and how people them way they do the statistics, they come to the conclusion, then they look at the holistic framework, on a macroeconomic level, meaning on this bigger picture, and then come to the different conclusions them way then they come to. One of the reasons why often when they don't come to their conclusions they are so where they see on paper that yes, inflation don't they go down, but in reality everyday Sierra Leoneans them not even aware say anything don't change. The reason for this now because the data where then they take in no often they include really waiting they happen at the black market, because of course it's official data, but then does that form part of the reality of everyday Sierra Leonean? It sure does, and it's important for note that particular points there. You look at past inflation surges, terms them where inflation really go up between 2022 and 2023. You beget an instance where prices also beget for really go up. When you compare the difference now, where inflation don't be reduced by 25% or so, where don't come down, you look at the rate at which them prices then they don't come down. Come back to that level usai EBD before 2022 and 2023. It is still higher than that. And that's a concern, because it means there is still that this mismatch there is that disconnect. Come back to the level usai EBD originally before there was inflation. You take for example fuel not don't come back yet to usai EBD before we experience all of the economic shocks them right around the world, whether it's the war in Ukraine, whether it's the Israel and Palestine war, and all of those ones. So coming back to the theory that I'm pushing out there, the theory, my analysis where I initially make, and it's okay that you have a different analysis. Now the point say, while yes, inflation they go down on a general level, it don't necessarily mean say prices of goods and services they can down with them. Waiting down they just mean, it just means say the rate at which or the pace at which prices then they go up is a bit slower now compared to before. 079-994-993. Now the number where you go call for add your voice to the conversation tonight. 079-994-993. Call we and add your voice to the conversation. Tonight we're talking about inflation. Reality. Are prices actually going down, or are they not going down? This is the deep dive. 079-994-993.
We wonder we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control. Price control. We wonder we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control.
Now wait till you say they want price control. Now wait till the woman say they want price control. So when we see on there, yes, the woman them say make we tell you now say they want price control. To the east, to the west, want a price control. Turn out down south, they beg for price control. So the businessman them go take control. The sweet salon go always take for own. Without it, they display to Malada's price. Now all that they make we continue on the up price. This and that, say we know they take that. If that is not this, if not that, not that.
Price control. We wonder we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control. Price control. We wonder we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control. Papa Manso want controller, DJ Box want controller, Cyril want controller, Jumaka want controller. The picking them say, the youth man say, the people them say I want price control.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, Good evening.
Yes, your name and who side you call from?
I'm in Victor. I call for weeks.
Yes, Victor, please go ahead.
Definitely, they talk to for 40% to 25%. Definitely, that level will always the price will J, the price not go down so quickly. Because look about fear. Fear it been the high. But when they ready for Ace and the Ace are high. But when they ready for put and down, they put and down slow. And that's not able to help with autonomous. You can't tell the transportation on now. We don't know what transport in there now. They still be. Because they're not able. The transport support for according to support for co. There's something that don't up there. But this they will say it anymore. So how somebody they buy property it goes to upline. How that price they able that my way they buy now or go to now more or can marketing. It goes to another kind of price. How they able put that price down? It tells they able suffer the one the way they now present it. So me are able to talk to our government so they able put the price. Look about cement. Cement by now has more money left for 200 million. So that's it. How somebody will you know able get nothing. Now we no more able to suffer. How they when they work. That's when usually the way they work, the end of the day way more strong. What thing they get. For go by rest, the end of the day no more. Lentals. Because of cement on their lentals, no more they go up. You don't say about the suffer, how they able to struggle in life. They are being and the job happy to Papa Government, so they're able to put that in there. They go down so that we're able to believe the thing don't go down. So it's reality. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. 079-994-993. Now the number we go call for add your voice to the conversation. 079-994-993. Tonight we're talking about inflation versus reality. Are prices actually going down? Good evening, you name and who side you call from?
Good evening, Mr. Fortune.
Yes, sir.
I call from Kiama Road, Bok.
Please go ahead, sir.
You need to go just try to read it about 700 minimum wage. Point to be corrected, it's 800, sir.
Okay. Duly noted.
Okay. Well, we try to look at now, the economy as you analyze the program, it's very difficult. But you need to go back again. You talk about the Bank of Sierra Leone, how they stable the foreign currency. Correct?
Well, not necessarily the Bank of Sierra Leone, but the monetary policy of the Bank of Sierra Leone actually contributes towards stabilization of
Mr. Fortune, sir. Hello,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, the Bank of Sierra Leone, they do a very good work. Not like that, they talk. This system, they work. Now, look at the inflation. The inflation now, I hear somebody, they talk now, 98, say, petrol on down to 15%. I don't know if I'm correct. Hello.
Well, I'm not going to verify that day because.
Okay, now, the World Bank, this country, they go under reform. I want to know that, Mr. Fortune. Again, I expect for you. This country, they go under reform. This cannot change overnight. Now, the petrol, the IMF, the World Bank for coming side, and they speculate. Am I wrong?
I don't think now World Bank they set prices for petrol.
Now World Bank, wait sir. Now waiting for they for do they for talk to them now let them come inside let them look at that. The petrol line they make price they go up, sir.
Okay.
Now the petrol don't lie down they talk. The petrol for look at the PRA and the World Bank they for look at that, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. 079-994-993. Thank you very much for your point, Mr. Bok. That's what the deep dive is meant for. It's not just my point of view, it's also your point of view, and we can agree for disagree and able for move forward. 079-994-993. Call we and add your voice to the conversation. Tonight we're talking about inflation versus the reality. Are prices actually going down? Now, Mr. Buckby just mentioned the thing with fuel and how that is tied to that. I think one of the very first points where I make when I start the conversation tonight, now for make mention that the monetary policy of the Bank of Sierra Leone don't contribute towards the stabilization of the exchange rates and all of which, and I really actually thank the Bank of Sierra Leone for that because it's a good thing. at the deep dive, when if it is good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. That's just how it is. 079-994-993. Call we and add your voice to the conversation. Tonight we're talking about inflation versus reality. Are prices actually going down? This is the deep dive.
Price control. Now we see woman say they want price control. So we do it on the yes, the woman they say make we tell you now say they want price control. To the east, to the west, what a price control. To the north, down south, they beg for price control. So the businessman them go take control. The fish salon go always take for own. Without it, this price to my that's price. Now all that they make we continue the off price. This and that, say we know they take that. If that is not this, if not that, not that.
Price control. We want now we country alone. Things just they go from bad to worse now because of no price control. Price control. We want now we country alone. Things just they go from bad to worse now because of no price control. Papa man so want controller. DJ Box want controller. Cyril want controller. Jumaka want controller. The picking them say, the youth man say, the people them say I want price control. Businessman and woman, Salomon and woman, they say then they beg for price control. If the driver, if the student, soldier man and woman, policeman and woman, they beg, beg, beg. Medphones, DJ Yusuf, even man shake, they say that they beg for
Okay, this is the deep dive. If you just join with the program where you listen to another deep dive coming to you live here on Epic Radio 99.3 FM. And tonight we're talking about inflation and the prices of everyday commodities. Now let's just look at some figures as well. As of mid-2024, Salon continue to face high prices for essential goods and services, despite the slight easing in terms of the inflation compared to 2023. Below now some of the breakdown them we did it out there. 50 kg of imported rice as of 2023 you can get them at 600,000 leones for 50 kg. As of 2024 you experience a slight decrease. It come down to 550,000, or it varies, or you can get them for 800,000 leones, or you can get them for 750,000 leones. Now that was a slight decrease due to global rice price and all of which. Now you come down to local rice, waiting Nyaso, then they produce them everything. As of 2023, you can get them 50 kg, you can get them for either 400,000 or you can get them for 500,000 leones. As of 2024, you can get them for 450,000 or 550,000. So waiting you see now a slight increase. This can be tied to due to poor harvest, and I talk about global climate trend and all. Let's look at per mine. You look at 1 liter. As of 2023, you can get them for either 45,000 or 60,000 leones. As of 2024, you can get them for either 50 or 65,000 leones. This as well, it's a slight increase from waiting actually be there in 2023. Let's move forward. We come to beef. You look at 1 kg. As of 2023, you can get them for 80 or 100,000. As of 2024, you can get them for 90 or 120. There is an increase there as well. Now the key factors them, now the fact say, for example, when you look at local rice, one for ask, why is it that you experience an increase with local rice and you experience a decrease with imported rice? The reason because production basically for local rice in Salonia remain weak due to boku issues them. One, due to flooding, due to poor farming inputs, and all of these things. The reason why we are highlighting all of these points is just so that we understand that we efforts them and the good things them will happen, they only able for be holistically good if all other sectors them able for work and able for really do well. For imported rice, for example, you see a slight drop in terms of the price from how it was in 2023 to how it did in 2024. However, important for note, while yes, there is that shift compared to how it was before 2022, it is still high. These are just realities. I cannot make up these numbers. These are facts out there. And you look at fuel and energy prices, for example. Let's take fuel. In 2023, 25, 30,000. I mean, it go up, it can down. You come forward to 2024, 22. So there is a slight decrease, and this you can tie them down to 22 to 28, between 2024, early 2024 to the latter part of them. You can tie them down to lots of things. The slight decrease in terms of global oil price and the stabilization of the exchange rates and things like that. However, at the same time, while we compare dandy, while global oil prices them don't stabilize for some time now, we still get the challenge. So you get forex still short, and this they keep the price at a very volatile state. Let's look at EDSA, electricity. It remains unreliable, therefore forcing Boku businesses and households to rely on expensive generators. The reality there is, while yes, between 2023 and 2024, you experience a reduction in terms of fuel price, it is still at an all-time high, because pre-2023 it was lower. These are all the realities, and these are the dynamics them way we talk about inflation, and we talk about whether a price is actually going down. These are the actual numbers them with day out there staring us in the face. Or you look at house rent, for example, and somebody mentioned the minimum wage. It's now at 800,000 leones. Yeah, but when you get minimum wage that is at 800,000 leones, and you get a bag of rice that it's almost at the same point, and then you get people them with need for parents, and you look at house rents and things like that, it's not just all coming together for form this one big fine narrative that we can all complement. So that's why we are highlighting all of these points, that there are points worth looking into. For example, when it comes to rice rice business, there is one perfect solution, one thing that we can do. Improve local production. Ensure say you boost local production. Encourage local investment. And once you get that enough, you don't they produce more rice now, so we're almost the day in competition with the foreign rice, and I'm talking about quality. Then you get more Sierra Leoneans buying local rice now. As long as it's of quality, people are going to go for it, and people would want to buy it. And then you're able to create that balance there, and it don't reflect on the reality of everyday Sierra Leonean. Those are the topics, those are the things worth talking about when we're talking about inflation. 079-994-993. This is the deep dive.
This and that, say we know they take that. If that is not this, if not that, not that.
Price control. We want now we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control. Price control. We want now we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control. Papa Manso want controller, DJ Box want controller, Cyril want controller, Jumaka want controller. The picking them say, the youth man say, the people them say I want price control. Businessman and woman, Salomon and woman, they say that they beg for price control. If the driver, even the student, soldier man and woman, policeman and woman, they beg, beg, beg. Medphones, DJ Yusuf, even man shake, they say that they beg for price control. Price control. We want now we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control. Price control. We want now we countries alone. Things just they go from bad to worse, not because of no price control.
Okay, welcome back. This is the Deep Dive coming to you live here on Epic Radio 99.3 FM. We're also live via our Facebook page at Epic Radio. And tonight we're talking about inflation and how they affect everyday prices for goods and services out there. Now, it is important for note that we don't make some significant progress in terms of the stabilization of, for example, foreign exchange. Between 2024 to 2025, the exchange rate has been stable a bit, but while it is stable, the situation is still it's still volatile. You know, stable to this point that it is really reliable and for make a real difference yet. And that is what we're encouraging, that we work towards that. Of course, we as everyday Sierra Leoneans, we also get a part for play. We get a role for play. Say, for example, now the price of rice and the price of other basic commodities, them the Ministry of Trade don't pull list and they encourage people them. Now that's where we as Sierra Leoneans come in, because now they sell to people and they can buy one and all. You get some certain people, and notwithstanding that global prices they go down, they are not going to make the change. Instead, they would find excuses for bringing in, telling you that, oh, there is this, there is that, and so and so and so and so. So, in that particular regard, we're not able for blame governments or blame anybody. We blame ourselves as ordinary Sierra Leoneans. So you Sierra Leonean out there, where they do business, where they sell essential goods and services, where you company Sierra Leoneans they need. We also need to get the realization that even if now 1 Leone difference don't did it, as long as it is something that you can do, we can able for reflect on the prices they now something where you for do for make them easy for other Sierra Leoneans. I do know that yes, when it comes to businesses, there is always this argument that, well, as at the time where I be make the order, where I buy this particular goods here, so before it come where the prices can go down, the time where me buy, this reduction in prices not affect them. So at the end of the day, it should not affect the price where me they sell. These are all arguments them where we don't dare. We always they out there time and again, and rightly so. I cannot say they are wrong arguments, because now points them we did it. And of course there is the argument with taxation and so on and so forth. So again, it means that it's a holistic effort and a holistic approach we get for able for take for really get to this point where would now say, okay, when there is a 25% decrease in terms of inflation from Musa Ibide to now, we able for see that they reflect on the ordinary Sierra Leonean. So up until we get to this point where we boost local production and sure say we encourage, investors them for come and invest in with agriculture and several other areas them. Look at minimum wage, for example, and ensure say salaries of people them, everyday workers, everyday civil servants. I'm not talking about just the one them way they up there, but everyday people where really they work hard. Teachers, police, we also they look at them salaries them where increase are needed. And not the sort of increasement where you say, okay, we increase them by 15%. If you were paying somebody 1,500 leones and you increase them by 15%, it's really not so much. Waiting really not the difference where they do in terms of the actual situation, economic situation where they go on presently in our country. These are realities where we need for face, and these are things that we need to do. So, in essence, what do we need for do? Cut down on all of those excess spendings them when unnecessary. Tighten really, try for stop leakages here and there, and ensure that all of them money then they will be able for balance and come to helping everyday Sierra Leoneans by increasing their salaries, minimum wage and things like that, so that more Sierra Leoneans able get access to finances where they meet the current economic trend. This is the deep dive right here tonight. We don't talk about inflation and the reality of prices of everyday goods and services. But as we don't do all of this analysis, it is important to note that there are two sides to every story, and understanding now a three-edged sword. You get your side I get me side, and the truth we always there, right in the middle. Now so we could go the cutting down for tonight's show. Don't forget, say the deep dive will come to you again next Wednesday at exactly 8 to 9 p.m. Plenty thank you to me producers, and of course to the man, the DJ, the engineer wait on day with me right through the program tonight. This is the Epic Radio. I am James Fortune. Keep it locked to Epic Radio.
They want price control. Now it's the woman say they want price control. So do it on the